Hello, everyone. Welcome to Community Keynotes. My name is Melissa Majors. I am so blessed to be the creator of this show. Joined with me is co-producer Amani Roberts. Hello, Amani.
Hello, Melissa. How are we doing today?
I'm super excited about this episode. But before I dive in and tell you why, I have a question for you, my friend.
Yes.
Why do you love events so much? Why do you love this industry?
I love this industry because no day is the same, no event is the same, and we get to travel to interesting places, put on different events, touch people in ways that they might not expect. And every day it's different. So that's why I love this industry so much. How about
Yeah.
you?
Whoa, goodness, I'm so glad you asked because I've been reflecting on that a lot lately. And given, how divided we are in this country, in the United States, I'm so grateful for events because they have an interesting way of bringing diverse people together, diverse groups of folks together. And then they help us transcend our differences as we find belonging around the event's purpose. And, you meet people that you never would have had the opportunity to meet otherwise. I mean, you and I met at an event.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Look at all the cool stuff we're doing together. We probably wouldn't have met had it not been for the event. Some of my best friends and the most important business connections I've had happened at events. And so that's why I love the events industry. And our sponsor, IMEX, and our featured speaker, Shameka, they believe in the power of events. They believe in how events can create belonging, community, and connection. I mean, Amani, just IMEX's sponsorship of this show is true evidence of how much they embody those values, right? And then
Agreed.
Shameka, for heaven's sake, she's dedicated her career to this industry. And
Yes,
she
she has.
believes in it so much. And she has such an amazing story. So let's get to it. So, viewers, you're in for a real treat. I would like to ask you, though, to listen deeply to Shameka's story. Listen for understanding, not for judgment. And no matter where you're watching from, I ask that you put your fingers to chat and send her an encouraging word and help us welcome to the community keynote stage, Shameka Jennings.
So, I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland. And if you're not familiar with Prince George's County, it is one of the most affluent African American counties in the country. Imagine that you grew up near the Huxtables, if you're of a certain age, or the Johnsons from Blackish, if you're of another. For me, my whole young adult life was growing up around successful African American and Black people. My education team was Black, my principals, my teachers, my counselors, my doctors and my health team were Black, my dentists, my nurses. So I got to grow up and see people that look like me living their dreams successfully, unabashedly, unapologetically. And it was such a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful to have grown up and be from Prince George's County. So much that I'm back, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I didn't realize growing up how much community plays a role into shaping who you are and who you're meant to be. Like for me, how I started in this world with the love and encouragement of being a beautiful Black girl was really different when I stepped outside and went off into the world on my own. I went to undergrad in Tennessee. And despite stories that I will tell you now, I absolutely love my experience in Tennessee. However, I could have let the experiences I'm going to share with you beat me down and possibly define who I was, but I didn't allow that. And so let me tell you a little bit more, right? So I lived literally on top of a mountain. That's my undergrad, 10,000 beautiful acres of greenery. I am not a city girl. I am a city girl, excuse me. I'm not an outdoorsy person. So that was great. I just didn't enjoy it. But when I got to the mountain, the students thought that I belonged in some sort of box when I lived at home. Like I had no place to stay. They thought that I was just a poor affirmative action student. When on the contrary, I received a full tuition scholarship to attend that school. I was top 10% of my high school graduating class, and I'm being very generous by rounding up. That's probably like top 6. And I graduated high school studying engineering, so with a pre-engineering degree. So I very much deserved to be at my undergrad. And people didn't believe me. People just thought that I was an affirmative action student. And so it was the first time that I really was faced with some sort of discrimination that I wasn't used to. Because normally when people see me at home, beautiful Black girl, successful Black girl, about it. I remember at one time at school, I was attending a formal dinner, and I sat next to an older lady. I was wearing an animal print jacket. I love animal print. If you know me, I think every room in my house has a piece of animal print. I was wearing this great animal print jacket. And during dinner, she leaned over to me and said, "Excuse me, are there leopards in your country?" I was really taken aback by that statement. I did not know what to say. I knew that I wanted to alleviate the situation because it was a microaggression that occurred, and we were at a nice event and I didn't want to blow it up. I was also young. And so I just kind of leaned back over and said, "Hey, are there leopards in the United States? Because I'm from here. I was born in the district. I don't understand what you mean by that." She took the answer and just kind of, and we went back on dinner. Another incident of microaggression that occurred during school was when I was asking for an override to join a theater class. My theater teacher, when I said, "Hey, I'd like to join," she said, "Sure, what's your name?" And I said, "Shameka Jennings." And she just looked at me really inquisitively and asked, "How'd your parents come up with that?" And to me, I don't understand that question, because I don't think you would ask that of anyone whose name is John or Rebecca or Emily. My parents came up with it because they thought it was a beautiful name. Again, to alleviate the microaggression, though, I said, my parents picked my name out of a Scrabble bag because I was really just kind of annoyed with the situation, but I did want to make it lighthearted. So I remember those two situations very clearly because of how I translated them. However, recently, another friend reminded me of a situation that occurred that I honestly forgotten. We discussed I probably blocked it out because of the trauma. But when I was an undergrad, I babysat for an absolutely lovely family that lived on our campus. They had 4 beautiful boys. It was a Caucasian family, and they loved me like I was their daughter, and I loved them like they were family as well. One night, myself and 2 friends were babysitting all 4 boys, and we heard wrestling outside, and we didn't know what was going on. We looked outside, we kind of saw shadows, and we called the police to say, "Hey, we think there's someone outside." And they said, "Hey," when I called, they said, "Hey, are you Shameka Jennings?" And I said, "Yes, how do you know I'm calling you?" And they said, "Oh yeah, a neighbor called and thought that you were breaking in, so we were about to bust down the door to see what was going on." And I totally forgot that was a situation that happened. But I have had so many instances to which I had faced these adverse situations that I wasn't used to when I was home, when I was in Petrotas County. But the one shining light about my undergrad, there's multiple, but my favorite was really, I found my love of events during that time. For me, I was our student activities board leader. I organized all of our events. And that was really the one time that we could be together as a community where no one was looking at the color of your skin, your sexuality, your religion. It was an opportunity for all of us to just get together and have a great time. And that's when I fell into event planning. I didn't know at the time that it was a career, but I knew I loved that feeling. I knew that bringing people from diverse backgrounds was what I was meant to do. And so I did it. And when it was time for me to graduate, I knew that I wanted to go back home because I needed to be a little bit replenished. I wanted to be back around successful Black African American people. The norm of my presence is normal. It's not offensive or intrusive. or people don't have to question why I'm around. It's just she's here and she belongs here. And I was thankful to find a graduate opportunity at George Washington University for a master's degree in event meeting management. So everything kind of lined up so I could go home and be great. And I did. But admittedly, that feeling didn't last long because life is really different when you're out on your own in the working world. The working world is so diverse, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But it was challenging when I first entered my first big girl job in event meeting management. I went into a government contractor position and I joined bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, really excited. I am a really ambitious person. I thrive on the idea of being successful. I really love helping support others to be successful. And so I came into the position really ready and willing to support my superior, my boss, say, how can I support you? How can I make you shine so that we can look good together? And it came back to me that she did not like me. And she thought that I was trying to take her job. And 22-year-old Shameka was not trying to take her job. Current Shameka, maybe. But 22-year-old Shameka wanted to learn from her and really wanted to grow. And she put the X on that very, very quickly because she had these preconceived notions about who I was. And so I moved on from that position into my first association role. And I was really excited to go into my association role. I just earned my CMP as well to just add on to my credentials of my master's and now my CMP, which is Certified Meeting Professional. And the team that I was going to were welcoming me with open arms. They were so excited to have me. I impressed them with my interview. However, very quickly, I went from, this is a psychology term, I recommend you look it up on, office pet to office threat, where they were really excited to have me. It was great. I brought new ideas. I brought in new revenue streams. I supported all of the meetings that we had, which were a lot of meetings. I was an overachiever. I really wanted to perform well because that's just part of who I am and what I know. I am a high performer. And everything was really great until we came to an impasse. And the impasse was when they asked me to plan an event on a plantation. And we were going to Charleston, South Carolina. And I know Charleston, South Carolina is a beautiful city. It has so much more to offer than plantations. Just the history of the trauma and slavery and just negativity, everything that is associated with plantations, not only associated, that happened on plantations. I knew I could not plan an event on one. I just couldn't. And I communicated that to my boss. I provided other recommendations. However, they were very much set on having this event at a plantation. And not only that, they also wanted to host a dinner at Paula Deen's restaurant in South Carolina. And this was around the same time that her Black staff had called her out for being racist. And I presented all of this information to my superiors. And so we can't do this. We should not do this. And I was overruled. I was just a coordinator. I was the one Black person on my event planning team. And they proceeded with the event. And not long after, I was let go from my job. And I wasn't aware. I didn't know that that was happening. I had never been marked up. I'd never been punished for anything. I'd always received high marks on all of the work that I did. And so it was really, really an interesting time for me because I'm now coming from undergrad, which was difficult, to coming home to feeling a little bit better, being around a community that I know like really pushes me and thrives and wants me to be successful. But now I've gone into a working world where I don't know if I'll make it in my purpose. It was a time I didn't see other people living my purpose. And so I just really questioned my confidence in who I was and what I was meant to do. Thankfully, I will say, I found the National Coalition of Black Meeting Planners. I went to my first conference in Cincinnati. And I was blown away. I felt like I stumbled across a farm of unicorns of successful Black event professionals, from manager to director to executive director to CEO to vice president, people thriving in the work that I dreamed of doing. And I was so encouraged by that. And during this time of unemployment, one of the board members actually leaned in and offered me an opportunity to learn from her while I got myself back on my feet. And so I was able to stay with her and her team for 5 months. And I grew and learned so much, produced an annual meeting with her. And from that point, I can't tell you how quickly I've taken off, but it's been tremendous. I have really, from that point on, moved on to be a director of meetings since then. So I've been a director of meetings and conferences for almost 4 or 5 years now, running departments, bringing in revenue streams for various associations. And having that community really made the difference for me, because I could see it. I could see that it was something that was possible. And for me, I feel like that's a theme of my life. Just the power of people, the power of togetherness, the power of community. I really encourage you to find a community, a safe space for you, to be your true self, and to grow into who you are. One thing that I recently did, because of how important community is to me, is found a group for Black women in the hospitality industry, where we could come together and learn from each other and grow together and really push each other forward to see that it's possible. We can do this. And so I just want to say that's really my story. It's just people and togetherness and community. I really hope that you take from this how important it is to find your people, find your group. And if it's not there, make it, create it, because there are other people that are going to be looking for it as well. I encourage you to wipe away any discouragement that you're faced with, especially based on who you are and preconceived notions of who you may be. And refuse to let other people define who you are. So I really recognize that belonging in community has really shaped who I am and shaped my confidence. And I'm super grateful and thankful for that. And so thank you for the opportunity to share my story. And I hope you can join my community.
Shameka, you are amazing. You're an incredible leader. You did a wonderful job telling your story. And I know that you opened hearts and minds today. It takes a lot of courage to tell your story, but it takes even more courage to tell one that may risk, being received negatively. But I don't think that's going to happen. So wonderful job. I'm very proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And at this time, we want to hear just a word from our sponsor, IMEX, featuring Natasha Richards.
I hope you are enjoying Shameka's inspiring story. IMEX is delighted to have been able to partner with Community Keynotes to bring you today's episode. Extraordinary stories are part of the fabric of our extraordinary global events industry, one that brings people together across borders to create strong communities. At IMEX, we believe wholeheartedly that our diversity as event professionals is what makes us special. The secret sauce, some would say. When we come together, we really do change the world for the better. And it is people like Shameka who are leading the way.
Thank you so much, IMEX. We really, truly appreciate you and your support. And at this time, I would like to kick off our fundraising segment of the show. As Shameka mentioned, she founded a group for Black event professionals. It's called Black Girl Magic Hospitality Industry Group. Every penny counts. And we would love for you to contribute to Shameka's cause. 60% of your contributions will fund professional development opportunities for members of that group. The remaining 40 will fund the production of community keynotes. Again, every penny matters, and we really, really hope that you consider contributing to our cause. There's also another fun way you can not only wear Shameka's story in your heart, you can wear it on your sleeve. We were so inspired by Shameka, we created a collection of merchandise from shirts and bags and masks and journals and all sorts of fun things that really capture the essence of Shameka's story. And again, 10% of those proceeds will also fund professional development opportunities for Black Girl Magic. So thank you so much for everything that you do to support our show. At this time, I would like to introduce the whole crew back to the show, Amani, B. Murphy, and Shameka, so we can pepper you all with questions. Amani, take it away.
All right. Excellent job, Shameka. Very proud of you. I really appreciate your story. So we want to kick off the interview section with my first question to you. And I want to go back to your plantation story and ask you, how were you able to have the courage to tell your boss that having an event at a plantation was inappropriate?
For me, I attribute that a lot to my parents and being back home, so that I knew I had a community that if anything went wrong, I had the support that was really a stone's throw away. But I just knew in my heart that I just couldn't allow that to happen, or I couldn't sit quietly and let it happen. And I knew that I had family that would be like, you know what, you should speak up.
Yeah. The continuous question that I have that comes after is, why do you feel there's a lack of diversity in the meetings and events industry?
I don't see it. That's why I feel that way. I don't see it. For me, anytime I see Black people in the industry or people of color in the industry, they're in service roles. And it's really frustrating that we're not able to reach or communicate all of the opportunities within our wonderful industry. It's more than banquet staff. It's more than coordinators. It's more than housekeeping. There's so much beauty within our field that we really need to create some sort of pipeline or education tool or mentorship program that we're kind of bringing people along the way.
All right. I want you to introduce B. Murphy, one of your mentors. Explain to us how he has helped you, and then I'll ask B a question as a follow-up.
Sure. So this is B. Murphy. I met B at my very first coalition meeting that I referenced in my story. And he has just been a granular part of my journey since then. That was in 2014, maybe. And he's just always been a part, always been an encouraging ear, pushing me to go forward, pushing me to reach higher. And I've been so thankful to have him in my corner and a presence in my career.
Thank you for that introduction. B, welcome to our show. My first question for you is, what do you admire the most about Shameka?
You know, I can put that in one word. Shameka is fearless. Absolutely fearless. You know, listening to your story just now, Shameka, it all comes back to me full circle. That this little girl that I met at Coalition, there was something about you then that made me say she's going to go places in this industry. And so to describe, if I had to describe her in one word, it's fearless. She's kind of like the Marines, you know. She'll wade right in where others won't.
And I have to jump in, you know, B, I'm so glad that you share that, because, and Shameka, you talked about the confidence to stand up and do what's right. It also comes from knowing there are people like you, B, that believe in her and believe she's fearless and believe in her success. That fuels so much confidence in others. And so thank you for being a mentor to her, because she certainly is fierce and fearless.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful.
Fearless is a great characteristic to have. So B, I'm also wondering, and we're also wondering, since you first met Shameka at Coalition, how have you seen her grow?
I have watched her, I have cheered her and supported her in many efforts. I watched her when she got that job as a director of meetings and events for one organization. She actually hired me to work for her. I'm watching the progression of this young lady from college student, intern, to someone that could hire my company to work for her. And that has gone forward even more. She is now a DELP scholar. And if you don't know what DELP is, it is a program that is designed specifically for the advancement of people of color in this industry. Shameka could sit back right now. She could sit back right now and just basically do her job. But just to put it mildly, I'm on my way out. I'm getting ready to retire in a few years, and I am going to leave this industry knowing that what's coming behind me is people like Shameka.
Yes. High praise. Shameka, I'm curious, how did getting your master's degree change your life personally and professionally?
Professionally, without my master's degree, I really don't know if I would be where I am, because it really set me up strategically for success. But also, there was a lot of projects, master's programs projects, of course. And for me, I add them to my portfolio. So when I go on jobs, when I interview, when I first came out of my grad school program, I had them available. I know for me, I've learned the hard way as a Black woman, I have to be like twice as good.
Yes.
It's sad, but true. And so I would bring my projects with me on interviews and show them. So when people say, tell me about yourself, it's really not enough to tell them about Shameka. They need to see it. And so I started my career having those projects. So if I didn't have those, I wouldn't even be able to say that this would be the trajectory of my life. So my master's program really kind of set a great foundation for me, and as well as just for my passion for the industry. Because personally and professionally, it's all gray for me, because I just love this work.
Yeah. Now, if we're going to go back and talk to Shameka the day before you left to go to college in Tennessee, what advice would you give her based on what you know now?
I would tell her to experience it. Experience the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it makes you into this. and I'm pretty proud of this. And so it's okay to have those negative situations and experiences, because they really make you stronger.
Okay. Melissa, we're going to have to clip that. It just makes you this. That's like the perfect clip.
Yes, no doubt.
For sure for that. One final question for you. Thank you first for offering mentorship and providing and being a mentor for so many people in the industry. Why do you feel mentorship is so important in the meetings and events industry?
Because I think if you don't see it, you don't believe it's true or believe it's possible. So for me, if I didn't see people doing what I did in Coalition, I don't know if I would have stayed in this industry. I don't know if I would have tried to reach where I am today. And so for me, mentorship is really important, because I want to show people coming behind me that we're here and there's a place for you. I am doing what I can to kick and knock down this door so that you can walk in easily. And so it's really, really important.
Excellent. And then B, I will ask you the same question.
On that.
Yes, please.
On that, because I think, as I said, Shameka epitomizes what for me is the hope of the future of our industry. And personally, I believe it is important to be that person that someone will see that looks like them, that they can see, has a measure of success, if you will, and is willing to share that with them, willing to share I'm willing to share whatever knowledge I have. I'm willing to share whatever the experience I've had to go through sometimes, so you don't have to.
Yes.
And so that to me is the importance of mentorship, and why we all have to step up. I mean, we have to step up. Shameka, there's somebody that's looking at this right now that's probably getting ready to go to some school in North Carolina or Tennessee or somewhere like that, and you have given them some hope. Yes. You have given them some inspiration, and so the only suggestion I would offer is to keep being you.
We started a trend. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Melissa, who's going to take us home. But thank you both for your participation.
Oh, wonderful remarks. Thank you, everyone. And big thank you to IMEX for supporting this, because as a result of your support, you help expand the reach and the message that Shameka's story and the impact it can have. We could not have reached so many people without you. So big thanks to IMEX, and special shout out to one of my favorite people at IMEX, Dale Hudson. You are fabulous from your brains to your shoes. Fabulous from your brains to your shoes. And with that, I've got a really special announcement. We're having a season 2, y'all. That's right. Community Keynotes. We're going to do it again. Season 2 starts late October. The application process is open. If you have a story to share that will inspire greatness in others, or you know someone that needs to share their story on Community Keynotes, apply by September 25th at communitykeynotes.com. Next, we also have a really fun partnership that we have established with the Illuminate Project. They inspired the creation of this show, and they are going backstage to have some fun conversations with the event professionals that have been featured on Community Keynotes. Shameka, Alice Parnas, and Stu Greenoff. They're going to dig deep into what it took to prepare for this moment and all sorts of fun stories. So make sure that you are watching their show on September the 8th at switchidea.co. Last but not least, next week is season finale. We're featuring Lauren Neves. She is a dear friend of mine and has an incredible story about self-acceptance. So make sure that you tune in on September 3rd next week at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. I'll see you there.